try to use a struggle hugging language as often as we possibly can. And we're live. What's going on, guys? Hey, 17th episode of the Unplugged Alpha series, and as it is the first Monday of a new month, we're bringing back on the crew from the 1% to kind of chop it up on a topic and throw around some ideas. Tonight we've got the Irishman, aka 50 Shades of Grey, Jaron and Jason. And there's probably going to be one or two others joining us tonight. I know a few of the other guys had some prior commitments with work or women or a combination of both. But tonight we're talking about chasing excellence and not women. Where should we begin, gentlemen? Aside from the obvious, it's just a stupid waste of your time.
Yeah, end of show. That
Derek.
sounds great. All right.
Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
It's good seeing you guys. We'll just wrap it up on that. No, seriously though. But
I think, Rich, my first question for you would be, what is the definition of a waste of time chasing women, or what's, because obviously we want women in our lives, but there is a point where there's diminishing returns. So if you go around, how would we define at what point, like kind of like any addiction, where it's just too much? It's just like, okay, yeah. There is a point where there's diminishing returns. So
okay, we're getting audio feedback from either Moff or Derek. That was you. Okay. Derek, you got video, or are you going to stay, I guess, dark?
I'm going to stay dark. I'm sunburnt and unkempt right now. I literally woke up 5 minutes ago.
All right, cool. All right. So how do you define what's too much? How do you define when chasing women becomes too much? You know, I was thinking about this over the weekend because I recently rewatched the Linkin Park Jay-Z mashup. I don't know if you guys ever, got a copy of it or ever saw it, but there was a live collab that they did together, and one of the songs that they collabed on was 99 Problems, but it ain't one. I got to try to water down the language today for you two. You get the idea,
hugging language.
Yeah, we huggle. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
but
1% joke.
Yeah. But I mean,
join
as far as it goes, I mean, if you're finding that you've got a lot of problems in your life, and women are becoming a big part of that because you're chasing them way too much, or they're creating drama in your lives, or they're throwing hissy fits and you're tolerating it, that's a pretty good sign that you're not on a purpose and that you're not chasing excellence and that you are chasing women, because it tends to dominate, your every thought, movement, idea, planning, everything. Everything that you do, it's like, why didn't she call me? It's like, I get these subscribe notifications from Reddit now, and it's like every freaking day I've got 2 to 3 that I share on Twitter. I don't know if you guys have been seeing them or not, but it's like, well, this chick was alpha widowed, and she clearly banged that guy when she went away on vacation. It's like, all these things keep popping down, and guys keep complicating their lives because they're not on a proper purpose. They're not on a grind. And it's like these women invite chaos into their lives, and they let it happen. It's not like, they want it to happen. They think that everything is sugar and spice and all things nice, but that's what ends up happening if you're not on a grind first. You got to put yourself first. That's what the whole concept of mental point of origin. I mean, would you guys agree? Would you disagree? Like, what are you guys all thinking?
This is a pretty timely topic, because there was a gal I was dating for a while that, where essentially some of the folks I was closest to, even my business partner was like, hey man, we need all this brain power for all the investing and all the other stuff we're doing, and this chick is taking up way too much brain space.
Yeah.
And one of the things you always say, Rich, and I think it's 100% true, it's like, is she a compliment to your life? And if she's not, then what are we doing here? And so I had to get out of that relationship, because it was like, this is way harder than it needs to be. Like, you're making this way more difficult.
And the ROI, guys. Hi, Paul. The ROI is just. I look. You know my story. I've only been back in the game in the last year, and I done way too much chasing. It costs too much money. It's too much hassle, and it's. I said it to myself today. More men need to be seen returning from the hunt. Okay, I've been studying the male archetype from ancient Rome, and I recently moved on to organized crime and the mob. When John Gotti came home from jail, women were leaving notes on his windscreen of his car, okay? Because they go after the guys who were chasing success and who were ignoring the women. And what we've all been conditioned to do is, oh, your life will be complete if you get a perfect girl. And I just said the last few months, I've been doing way too much of it. And instead, this week, I just put 2 hours into connecting somebody from our group who's introducing a product to the US to 2 major influences. and influencers on Twitter and possibly a national radio show host. And that is far more satisfying than racking up numbers and notch counts, because it's in our DNA. That's what we should be doing first.
Yeah.
We got it reversed. As I said, we got it all backwards.
Is there a point where, like, you know, like the whole chasing tail and the whole notch count, you know, like accumulation is like, okay, this is getting silly?
You start to get burned out after a while. Like, you just get tired of it. It's awesome. I equate it to like any addiction. So Rich, when you're describing coming in on the top of the show, how guys, it consumes every thought. I remember when I used to drink a little too much, like moving to a new neighborhood or moving to a new town, I'd always look like, all right, how far are the bars? Like, is it within a walking distance? Is there like a party neighborhood or something like that? And then that slowly transitions to a new addiction, because you're like, oh, I can get girls now. And then it does go in your head, like, all right, well, are there girls nearby? Or guys, you'll know, like, if you start going on the red pill journey and you hang out with beta friends, like, oh, bro, let's go to IKEA. There's girls there. Oh, the mall, girls. No, we're good. But you got to get to the point where it doesn't consume your every thought anymore, and then make that to where your purpose consumes your every thought. And I admit, I think I've been there before, and I'm sure most of the guys on this panel probably have too, where you're just like, you just get burned out. You're like, well, I'm not getting anything out of this.
Paul, you wanted to say something. I saw a little bit of a chuckle there.
Yeah, it's all BS. Like, you know, like when you can't, it's all a bunch of BS. And then I teach guys how to get the girls. It's part of what I do, and I always warn them. I always tell them it's all BS. Because look at these pickup artists. What happens? They end up banging a bunch of girls. Cool. They end up running their little, you know, they end up running their business and their, you know, their weekends and all that. And then they end up in relationships, most of them. And then they end up getting, you know, having one-itis a lot of times and having all kinds of problems. And there's all the stories of these guys in the pickup community who, you know, find that toxic chick and they can't figure out, and it like destroys their business or really screws them up. It's what happens because they've made women their focus. And while there's nothing wrong with solving your reproductive problem, it's like working out. If I made my diet and my workout program my obsession, unless I was a competitor or it was part of my vocation also, where I was teaching other people and competing and stuff, I would probably, you know, fail in other areas of my life, and I'd be pretty miserable. Wouldn't be able to afford, you know, my gym membership after a while.
Right.
Because I wouldn't be doing anything. You know, I'd probably overtrain. I'd probably do a lot of things to harm myself. Well, it's the same thing with women. You know, it's not that you shouldn't figure out how to game and how to do well with women and how to be attractive and not be unattractive and how to have good. In fact, it's really important, I would say, to learn how to have good relationships with women in your life so that they're complements to your life. But if you're making it the focus, you're chasing them, it's like the main thing you're accomplishing, it's a recipe for disaster. I did that. I know.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, how do you know when you're doing that, and that you got to kind of reel back on yourself? Like, how do you know when you're in that position where you're like screwing up?
Well, it's just that you're not accomplishing your other goals, and what you got going on with women is consuming your thoughts. And instead of, you know, okay, I'm focusing on what I'm doing, and then I have things going on with women over here, it's like that's consuming you. You're missing out on accomplishing your work goals, your business goals, your vocation, your hobbies, the things that you need to be doing to either make the dent in the universe or to find what that thing is. You've lost focus and passion for that things. And now you're just working on the next thing with the girls, you know? And I got to a point where I left a marriage. I was in between deployments, living out of my car because I was stubborn. I didn't want to get a different place. And so I'd stay at different chicks' houses for like, you know, a little over a couple months. I was like a freaking gigolo. You know?
Nice. I've never been able to do that. I know guys do that.
And these were girls, like, it wasn't just a bunch of like old ladies or something, you know what I mean? Like some of these girls, a lot of them were younger than I was, you know what I mean? That had, you know, I'd be staying in their bed or whatever for a couple of days. You know, they lived on their own or whatever. They,
you know, you're a
whatever
Chad
they're
when
doing.
you're like a homeless guy driving around in a car, living in different women's homes, right?
I was.
What's the show, man? You don't need bank. You don't need a big house. Like you're Paul Benjamin, dude. You know?
Wait, I thought you needed a Lambo to pick up chicks.
Right? Yeah. Like
Lambo, bro.
Just give me yours. Just give me yours. You don't need it. You just give me yours.
You need a blue check mark, right? No, I was a nobody. I was a dirt bag in between deployments, just smashing through girls. Girls who, if you saw their Instagram photos, would be something that dudes would be like, "Oh my gosh, let me trade in my
slide into her DMs and be a shoulder to cry on, right?
Well,
right,
like their Instagram. Yeah, we've seen these.
Let me see if I can nice my way into her love.
100%. It's ridiculous. Anyway, my last point on it is just that I got to a point I went, God, I'm a freaking douchebag right now. I accomplished my accomplishments were all past accomplishments in the military. Like right now I'm between stuff and I'm doing nothing and I'm crashing hard and fast. You know what I mean? I'm just partying and being a douchebag. I got to stop doing this. What's the point of it all? It was no point. You know, I was just overcoming past, you know, pain and stuff that I was just dealing with.
Yeah.
Instead of just working on myself and overcoming the real issues. It was a distraction from me facing my real problems, overcoming those, and finding what I was going to do with my life. You know what I mean? And that's what it turned into, and that's a bad place to be. You can get addicted to drugs, well, you can get addicted to this too. You know?
Oh yeah, there's definitely guys out there that get addicted to women, for sure.
I think one of the greatest lies we've been sold is that to be a man, you have to be able to go out and pick up lots of chicks. It's an absolute crock, you know, because once you learn it and you get good at it, you're just like, what is this? It's like, you know, going to the buffet. You'll just have too much of stuff, and it just does not become any fun.
It loses its novelty pretty
well. From a survival standpoint, though, that's how we've always separated men that can get stuff done and who survives and who can't. It's about solving a reproductive problem. It's not about being a man. It's about it's a survival thing. So, I mean, I think two things for me. I think one, Paul obviously nailed it. And I think that too often this idea of guys it's not a secret that guys want to sleep with women. Like, when did that become taboo? When did that become a negative thing? It's so often I hear like, hey man, like I'm trying to I got some text game or I'm matching with this girl on Tinder or whatever. And it's like, oh dude, you're chasing tail. It's like, sorry, dude. Like, I like having sex with good-looking, beautiful women. Like, I didn't know that was a crime. Thought this was still America. But like, that's something you hear a lot in this space. It's like, oh, chasing. And so, it's something where like, I think what's really interesting is the better you get with women, the less time you actually spend on them. It's like with any other skill. Like, think about it when we're literally anything. Whether we can talk about the analogy of spinning plates. Or when you look at somebody who's really good at something, like a professional boxer or somebody that's a super high-level grappler, like watching them, it's effortless, right? It's second nature. Guys that are white belts, or they're thrashing around and they're grabbing onto stuff and they're trying to use a lot of muscle, or guys that are, you know, just they look herky-jerky and things like that. You know, boxing is all in the hips, man. Like guys that are swinging crazy haymakers. You can always pick out a newbie in the gym, because they pump themselves out after the first couple of minutes. Guys that you know hit hard are just like in the motions. They're in the pocket. It just hips, right? So that's what it boils down to. So when you guys are spending a lot of time on women, it's probably because that's where the focus comes from. It's where it's like, especially when you find women that are going to fall into your program and work for you. Like I know a lot of guys, especially guys like Paul and obviously Rich and Jared and JB and the Irishman here, like that. These women fall into their frame. Like, you don't have to spend a lot of time nurturing and spinning those plates because they're on your program and they're now working for you instead of against you. So that's something I think that maybe doesn't get a ton of credit and a lot of recognition, is that the better you get, the less time you'll actually spend.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Moff, I know, like when you and I have gone on stuff, we usually chop it up in the comments with people, but I try to get the point across, piggybacking on exactly what you just said. When you get it down, like it gets so refined, it's like playing any sport. Like when I got really into it, like stop drinking, stop partying, and like working out every day, like running poles. Like I played baseball through college, and you're just in the zone. I just got up to the plate and knew I was going to get a hit every time. And it's kind of like that once you get your game down, your program down, or you guys will see probably when we go out in Miami, like there'll be lots of hot girls, but a lot of times I don't even look at them. I look for the girl that I know is going to be into me and who's going to, and you can tell from a distance, you're like, oh, that girl's going to play ball with me. And you don't waste your time. You don't go and buy drinks for the girl at the bar who's, flipping her hair and trying to get anyone's attention. You dial yourself in and you go about your day. And I've said this before, like when I go about my day, if I can do a favor for someone and it's no additional cost or no additional time out of what I'm doing, then I'll do it. Women are kind of the same way. Going about my day, someone's in line, I make a stupid little comment, she starts laughing. We're still in line, but I'm in line regardless. Okay, give me your Instagram. I throw up some stories a week later. She's like, hey, I see you're at this bar. I'm at a bar next door. Let's meet up. That just make it a part of your day, who you are, what your program is. And then they just kind of, the opportunities start presenting themselves.
I want to talk to you a little bit more about the whole not chasing women stuff, because there's some posts that we've seen you make. And I think you did one recently in the last few days where a couple of guys chimed in like, dude, I would have checked out halfway through that story. But I want to throw it over to Derek because he wanted to chime in there a little bit on that kickoff. So go ahead, Derek.
Yeah. So my experience with it was I had it like kind of imbued in me at an early age. I went to an all guys high school, right? And I was an absolute shithead with terrible grades before that, and was surrounded by guys who were trying to be better, and ended up really making a change. The point of that statement is, though, that like they pretty much cut women out of our lives on purpose, and we had to refine the balance point with that. And that was a very entertaining process. I came to realize that, like, if you're not, what am I trying to say here? Like, if you're actively like rationalizing why you're doing what you're doing in order to like make an excuse for yourself to be hanging out with a chick, you're forgiving her behavior, or you're just like, fuck it, I'm going to go to this thing that is completely not what I'm into. Like, this concert or whatever, just to expose myself to women. Then yeah, I mean, that's part of it. You're stepping out.
Change your music taste completely, something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love
I'm really
Justin
into country
Bieber
all
so
of a sudden.
much. Justin Bieber is my favorite. I like him too.
Yeah. Jason Aldean's the greatest. Have you heard his new album?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So Jaron, talk a little bit about that post that you made the other day where a bunch of guys were like, dude, I would have checked out like halfway through this story. Like for me, like when you were telling the story and it's like, yeah, and then I had like, an opportunity to hang out with Nick for a bit, and then I went back to the girls. I was thinking at that point, I would have rather spent like more time hanging out with Nick, just chopping it up than that whole like tail chasing episode that you were going through.
I must not have formatted that right. No, Nick and I closed down the bar. Yeah, we had a good time.
Nice.
No, my main girl was in town, so I canceled with the potential pain in the rear end girl. We call her a PIA. Yeah, the PITA in the
PITA.
group.
Yeah.
So the potential PITA. So for some context for this story, and I made this clear in the post, I knew she was going to be a pain in the ass pretty quickly. And I'm starting to do more content, more guides, more of these things. And I'm putting a backlog together for some of my personal stuff that I'm going to start launching on menshine.com. So I knew she was going to be a pain in the ass. And I've caught myself a few times, like in Tinder, I'm like, God, okay, I'd pull the bait right here. But with pain in the ass girls, you can test lines. You can go into new things because I don't care if I piss her off. She's already being a pain in the ass. Mm-hmm. So I shared some screenshots, tried to do some rough translations, but it's a lot of the typical stuff you get, like, I don't want to go to a bar. I don't drink. Oh, cool. I don't drink either. Yeah, sweet. Let's go get something healthy then. Oh, I don't like that place. Okay, cool. Let's go to this place. Oh, they closed at this time. And okay, so there's always a problem with something. The initial conversation was, hey, just my typical, come over, Netflix, chill, hang out, have a pajama party, whatever the heck line I'm trying to use that night. And she agreed to it initially. She's like, oh, yeah, I definitely want to do that. But something I get a lot here in Mexico. And before I'm like, no, screw that girl. Well, then I realized I was getting the bottom of the barrel girls, the ones that will just come right over without ever meeting you or vetting you. Mm-hmm. So I started doing, okay, yeah, we'll go for a bike ride. We'll go to the park. We'll go to a coffee shop. We'll do this. I found half the time I go to the coffee shop, by the time we're getting the coffee, like, yeah, we can just go to your place. We're good. They just want to make sure you're not a weirdo. Mm-hmm. So I understood that. I'm like, yeah, let's just, and I kept reiterating that point, like, hey, we're just meeting up to make sure I'm not a weirdo. Like in the between the day of, where we were texting logistics, like confirmation, like, hey, we're still good here, street's not closed, all that crap. In between, she'd send me unsolicited, little kissy faces, nudes, stuff like that. And a lot of girls do this. So I realized that, okay, this girl wants my attention. She's not really looking to meet up. Funny enough, I did an update on that story 2 nights ago, Saturday night, like 2 a.m. Hey, like, okay, I was dead asleep. I got up actually real early on Sunday and went for a bike ride in the park. I live next to Parque Chapultepec here in Mexico, which is, I think it was voted the most beautiful park in the world, and it's gorgeous. It's so nice. So I go on bike.
That's where in Mexico City?
Yeah, Mexico City.
Yeah.
So I go on bike rides there pretty early. I'm like 2 blocks from there. And so I got the 2 a.m. text. And then yesterday she ended up coming over, and she was actually pretty normal. Like, I think I was still irritated at her from the whole banter, but she was pretty normal. I was just kind of tired, and I think she gave me, well, I won't share details, but it was a normal interaction. I was like, okay, well, yeah, it was all kind of for nothing, but yeah, I'm not really that interested in her. But for a little face saving, and that I knew pretty quickly, and I made that in the post about the first like week or two. I'm just like, yeah, there's something weird, and it reminds you. I think I mentioned it reminds you of like a typical BPD chick. Like, you're never right. You agree to something like, okay, yeah, that's the plan. We're doing that, and then, oh yeah, no, I have a problem with that. Oh, I don't drink. I'm like, you just told me you had a problem with this other place because you wanted to drink that you didn't want to eat. Like,
do you think
what's
she is
the deal?
BPD?
I got a weird vibe from her. Yeah, I didn't take it all the way. Actually, she gave me a back rub and another thing that starts with a B, but that was it. Because I've dated BPDs before. A
bicep rub, right?
Yeah.
You got his ear on.
Yeah, she gave me a weird vibe, and like, guys, trust your intuition. But looking at that conversation, yeah, it was dragged way out more than it needed to be. But that's just to kind of see how that goes. And I eventually got her to come over. Like, she did get into my frame eventually. That's just to show.
When does it get to be too much? Like, at what point, do you say to yourself, you know what, F this? It's like this chick is not worth it, or what's going on in my life? Annoyed?
The minute I feel annoyed.
The minute it stops being fun, pull the fucking ripcord.
Yeah. Like, if I'm not smiling, we're done.
Jason, Jason, I just want to get Jason's perspective on it, because we know Jason's real estate thing.
I want to come to Jaren's defense first, though. I want to, like, in Jaren's defense, like, I read that thread and I understand where Jaren's coming from. Like, in his defense, like, he's not reaching out to this broad. She kept coming back to him every single time. She was constantly hitting him up. He tried to disqualify her many times and was like, "No."
You must be able to read Spanish, because I couldn't translate any of that stuff.
But
he basically was just saying,
I gave summaries,
he's like, "Nah, we're good. Like, we're not meeting up." But she kept coming back. So, I mean, not only that, but like the stuff he's trying to do with this program and his site, and it's good for guys to see. It's the same stuff what I do on my stereo show. People are like, "Well, why do you entertain women that just yell at you for an hour?" It's because I want guys to see what they will get and the kinds of patterns that these women will fall into when you say this kind of stuff. And it's very predictable. It's a framework. You know exactly where they're going, exactly what they're going to say. And then you can say, guys, this is where this is coming from. This is what she's actually thinking. And like 9 times out of 10, at the very end, they're like in love with me, like, because they know that they can't shame me, and they're asking for my Instagram and stuff, and like flirting with me over the channel and stuff like that. So
they know you get it too. Like,
to show guys, like, this is how you can, and you're not alone, and this is kind of how they act.
You know what that is, Muff? That's actually a bit of a shit test. They're really trying to test your competency when they come in.
Yes.
They already like you. They already dig your vibe. It's just that they're just playing this.
I just hate you because I don't like what you said about this.
He's like, this guy's spouting off. Like, what's he gonna do when I call him out? And I'm like, then I just call her a dumb B, and then like we keep on, and then I keep it moving, like, or whatever it is. So
sorry, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, it was just Jason and myself are kind of in the same age bracket, and as you get up there, you put up with less stuff, and I noticed Jason is extremely clinical in the way he just goes, okay, you match, let's date, let's go out. I can squeeze you in at 2:30. I can squeeze you in here. It's just you have, like, Jaren has got the Jedi Skywalker ability and Moff to do this, but Jason, I think, has a real good example of when you're making serious bank and you're focused on making serious bank, that chicks notice that, and you get to pick and choose and be very discerning.
How much easier is it for you, Jason, because you're a high value guy, right? Like, you run a large real estate portfolio, you're very successful.
It's not only that, but it's also with, we got the radio show and all that other stuff. So locally, at least here in Texas, I speak at a lot of events, and so we had we did the grand opening for a club here in town, and we got a table and all that, and there was like 5 guys and like 15 chicks, and I don't think a single one of them was over 30. And this was this was their Halloween opening. So you can imagine the outfits they were wearing. If you guys see that, if you go to my Facebook Live, I did that night on my personal page, you'll see it. Yeah. But there were two.
Which is Halloween every weekend.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's like pretty much Halloween. It's like like the pimp and hoe outfit, right? The guys dress up like pimps, the women don't.
Yeah,
that's what I do every weekend.
Yeah, that's right.
That wasn't Halloween.
The hosts they follow. They come to. That wasn't even.
That's a regular Sunday night for Paul.
So, but I get pretty quick to the, hey, look, you sound like you might be cool. Let's exchange numbers, and then we'll text back and forth a little bit. I'll say, all right, here's the deal. Like, I could fit you in for like drinks here, coffee there. Usually, I'm like a drinks thing. I'm not a big like coffee guy because I got so much stuff going on during the day, and the girls that balk at that are like, no, I'm a classy gal. I need to go to dinner. And I'm like, yeah, look, here's the deal. And I literally text this back to him. Like, here's the deal. I got a lot of stuff going on. I might not like you. You might not like me. And I don't want to do a 2-hour dinner. It's not about the money. Like, I don't want to do a 2-hour dinner for this nonsense because it just doesn't. I've got too much other stuff going on. And so
maybe she's just hungry and wants to be fed, bro.
Well, that's what I think it is. It's so funny. I was dating this gal for a little while, and she was telling me about her best friend. And she said, well, she's dating this guy, somebody I also know in the industry. Mm-hmm. And I said, so, what does she think of the guy? And she kind of told me. And then she says, I think she's just dating some of these people because she's bored. Mm-hmm. And I thought,
that is the thing that happens.
Yeah, I think it's
absolutely.
Yeah, because they're always looking for that attention and validation.
Yeah.
That's a primal need for them.
Yeah, totally. Jay, I was going to ask you, like, what do you do when these girls are like, I'd like to chat here and get to know you a little bit better. It kind of ties in line with the whole dinner thing. Like, what do you guys do with that? Because that's a bit of a manipulative time waste.
What do you mean, like chat on the phone or chat? Like
yeah, like if you're like, hey, I dig your vibe. Why don't you give me your number and I'll give you a quick call and we'll set up a drink. She's like, well, I don't really want to give my number to anybody I don't know, and I want to chat here for a little bit to get like that sort of stuff.
She's dismissing you. You're gonna get lost in the matches. Like she gets 10 times as many matches as you do, and that's if you're like an 8 or above as a guy. Like it's just a nice way to dismiss you. It's like it's the online equivalent of like,
you went for the kill too early. That's, I think, in my experience, that's what I've noticed. Like, you're going for the kill too early, or just has low interest, or it's a combination of both.
That's why I drop them Instagram and the number, and then they can choose. Like, if they need to be, if it's a new lead and they need to be nurtured, like just like in marketing, like you drip like an email sequence, then they can go onto Instagram and see stories and stuff. If they go right to the number, then I go right to logistics.
Yeah, but I mean, you've got your Instagram set up for dating too, right?
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah.
So
I think
So I'll send my Instagram, or if they're kind of in the same industry and they don't know who I am, then I'll send like the LinkedIn or my webpage, that sort. So it's like, look, I'm not some creeper, but I'm also not going to sit on the phone with you because most communications, it's nonverbal anyway. So here's this, here's that. Let me know if you want to meet up, leave my number, and then that's it. And then 9 times out of 10, they go, all right, well, we can meet up. I'll get some random text, right? So that's how I've dealt with it in the past.
Most girls,
you know what, a good metric is if you figure out your hourly rate, over the year, your annual salary divided by 2,000 hours, whatever it is, and you check how many hours a week you've spent on some of these apps or entertaining women, then it just becomes monetary, and you're like, wait a second, if I was to use my hourly rate, I spent $1,500 this week or $1,800 just goofing around on this nonsense, and that's a sign you got to stop and get back to chasing excellence first. And as I said, the ROI. Remember those stats earlier this year, Rich? The guy, it got pulled off because he put up how many dates he went on, how many turned up drunk, how many, and all of those stats. That is the market you're dealing in. And I hate to say it, if this species were a stock, they'd be a penny stock. Because there's only a few of them are going to hit bank with you every now and then, and you're far better off. And that's been my epiphany the last 6 weeks. Is it's far better off chasing bank and letting them fall across you.
Ready?
Go ahead.
Go, Paul.
Yeah. So you want to shift your focus though, because you're focused on getting the girls, getting laid, or getting some sort of goal like that. In my opinion, that's the wrong focus. My focus is on skill development, and so I want to shift my focus, not about this girl, this particular person who I don't know yet. I'm getting her phone number or just matched her, whatever. I'm focused on developing my seduction skills, developing my skills of awareness with women, of vetting, of setting boundaries, understanding what these different things mean. And so that now becomes a little bit better investment of my time. Not so much, an investment where I'm going to do all that and not do what my vocation is, of course. But it takes some of that emotion out of it too, because guys get pulled away from their vocation because they're focused on getting wrapped up in that particular girl. She hasn't earned that. You know what I mean? She hasn't earned that place in your life. You just met her or you've gone on a few dates or whatever. But if you're focused on the skill set, then things get easier. If a girl says she wants to text more until we meet up, my response is LOL. That's all I do. And then I would go, and then I might reopen her the next week, maybe not. But you see what I'm saying? Like you learn how to vet through this stuff very quickly and better. And then you're not wasting your time, energy, that dollar cost thing, average you're doing here with with your time. It's not quite so bad, because you're going to need those skills when you get to an LTR point. Someone asked in the chat, both Rich and myself with long-term relationships, I'm applying all the skills I learned into my relationship now. You know what I mean?
You still have to run game when you're in LTR. In some cases, it's probably a little more work than just spinning plates.
You really have to run it. You have to run it with all women. I mean, even in the workplace, women in the family too. I've noticed it with women in my family. Like I kind of gained my mom, my sister, aunts, grandma. Like they fall within my frame now that I've gotten better in my dating life.
Yeah.
To go back to one of your points there, 50 Shades of Green. I will tell you, I am way better in person than I am on an app. I mean, it's not even close. Yeah. So for me, it's
join the club.
Yeah, it's like parties. Yeah, because you're the same way. You're a real charming guy in person, right? So it's like it's so much better. Like I'm going to a house party. We're going to the club. We're going. Tomorrow night we got a table at a place to watch the game. Then we'll be at the World Series probably up for Game 7. So it's like I'm so much better in that than I am, texting. Because Paula said this before. You're just an avatar.
Correct.
Like you're really just an avatar, right? And she's getting 1,000 matches from all these random dudes, right? And so in person, it's so much easier.
Yeah, and like for guys like Jason, especially, if you're Irish living in North America, I mean, you've got this like level of charisma. Like Jason comes off with this level of charisma from what he's done in his life, and you just can't stop but shine that sort of thing. So that's why you want to get him off the app quick, so you're not wasting your time with, well, how was your day? Well, I don't know. How was your day? Oh, is that your puppy? Yeah, that's my puppy. What's his name? Oh, my puppy is his name.
Yeah, I mean, look, a guy like JB and even like Irishman and you, Rich and Paul, and even like all these guys, like are working in high-level industries, talking about 7-8 figure deals with high net worth individuals. Like talking to a chick is nothing compared to that. It's like, you think I'm going to get thrown off by some like 22-year-old blonde broad? Like, come on.
Nope.
I've gotten to the point where I'll just tell them like, hey, like you're not going to teach me anything. Like I'm not going to learn anything interesting from you. And I've gotten to the point where I've kind of breaking down the fourth wall. It seems bait on the surface, but I've done it before. Like, hey, let's step outside of ourselves and take a look at the situation. You're XYZ, I'm this, Y this, like just flexing my status difference and just like, shut up, like sit down and enjoy the experience. I know what I'm doing and you're going to have a great time. And then
you don't make the rules here, I do.
And it's not like you're being rude when you do it either, right, Jaron? I mean, like you're still the gentleman when you go about it. Yeah.
My friends tell me that I have a real good
I just need to clarify that because sometimes the YouTubes don't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm diplomatic. These are the thoughts that are in my head, like, oh, this darn person.
Yeah.
But in real life, I'm like, hey, you know what? This isn't going to quite cut it. It's not what I'm looking for. This is
well, that's what amuse mastery is, right? Like, that's when you kind of chuckle and you're like, look, sweetheart, right?
Paul nailed it. Like, LOL, just laugh at him. Like, don't even entertain the thought. Like, it didn't even register. They'll bring it back
Rich,
up. You're like,
it's covert communication, right? Like,
was it you?
That's communicating with them in a way they understand.
Yeah, you just
was it Rich or Rolo that said never pass up an opportunity to show off your skills in front of a girl?
Well, I've always said, if you can put a feather in your cap and call it macaroni, definitely do it, right? It's like it's who you are. Like, why would you hide the fact that you've done something with yourself? Like, if you have a nice watch, wear it. I mean, you're not going to leave it behind, right?
But Paul, Rich might be able to break this down, but I kind of thought back to something when I was in my 20s and I first came to the US, and I was working 2 jobs because, you know, you could make as much money as you wanted, which was just a whole new thing to me. So I was working landscaping during the day, and then I'd go work a restaurant at night as a line cook. Mm-hmm. And you know how serious I take my cooking. So I was totally focused on it in the kitchen. You know, I was this young Irish guy, and I was learning from these older Italian guys, and I was just going bam, 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 cranking out dishes. And the hottest waitress one night just lost it. She stamped her foot and she goes, "You're just a big dork. You never do anything." And looking back on that now, she was very frustrated about that. I wasn't making. Yeah, I was concentrating so much on my skill and my trade.
That's who you were to her. Yeah.
You're not giving her attention. You didn't ask her out, so she was upset, and that was her little hissy fit.
And I only copped that on after joining this channel a year ago.
Yeah. Let me throw up a couple of these super chats before I lose them into infinity. Best to manage the low ROI on dating by setting up higher quality dating profiles, photo text game, then only focus on high interest women. Yeah, that's pretty much what we're saying is, you know, you only deal with women that have genuine desire. And that's in my book. If you haven't read it, that's, you know, the title of this podcast show. I think it's like the 3rd chapter in or something like that. You only deal with women that have genuine desire, and that eliminates a lot of the chasing, right? Because then they end up entering your frame pretty quickly.
Guys, going back to my post, that's what I always say a lot. Like I'll take like a week or 2 off of a dating app and kind of rotate them. Mm-hmm. And then when you go back in, you're like, oh, like it happened a month or 2 ago. I had like 200 matches on Bumble. So I could open sets of like 20 of them. Within a set of 20, I will get someone over that day. And it's like, who do I respond to? I don't respond to everyone who says hi. It's the ones that are forward that like, oh, hey, you look really interesting. I want to meet you. Or, oh my God, I'd love to meet you. Here's my number. Call me now. Yeah, those are the girls I respond to first.
Perfect. So that's a great point. So I was actually going to mention, like, if you're having a conversation and she's asking you questions, that's a strong indicator of interest. Yes. Okay. Like that is leading towards genuine burning desire. If you're getting like 1-word statements and you're asking all the questions, like, what do you do for a living? I'm in finance. Cool. What part of town you live in? Blah, blah, blah. Da, 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 da. It's like, you know, she's just giving you one-word answers. It's probably not happening, man. Like if she starts asking you questions, right, and engaging you, then it just makes it easier, like Jaron just stated, and you don't have to go through the whole chasing process because she's like, she already digs your vibe, right? It's just like she's waiting for you to say, hey, you know, do you want to come over and have a glass of wine?
And even like the way she's saying things, like is she replying to you as if she's talking to a person, or she's responding to like a work email? Right. Like what? And just break that down out in your head, and like, what does it sound like?
So, that goes back to Paul's point, Moff, that once you get across the apex, so to speak, of the learning curve and using the tools that we've learned, you can actually take the foot off the gas and sort out the wheat from the chaff and spend less time chasing. Because once you can reach that level where you can go, I'm not going chasing, I'm going to pick and choose. You know, you're kind of at Zen level then. And you only get there by learning the skills that we've learned.
This guy Sam Whiskey makes a good point, man. The band on the Titanic, you've probably seen the movie, had better work ethic than most men today. Being industrious is more important than chasing girls.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that's great.
That's a great comment. Write that down.
Write that shit down. You can use that later.
And guys, a point I always make too, check all your messages, all your dating apps in batches. So like here, my phone's been buzzing and I'm kind of glancing down at it, but like I haven't on WhatsApp, I haven't responded since like noon. There's one girl that brought me food, so
yeah, leave it on red.
Yeah, why not? But when I'm off this, maybe before I go to bed, maybe not until tomorrow. These girls aren't going anywhere, so respond to them in batches. The ones that are like, oh hey, what are you doing today? And it's so much easier to manage. I probably have like a batch of 10 to respond to at some point. When I'm ready, when I'm free, then one of those 10 will be like, hey, I'm in the neighborhood, or oh, do you want to get a coffee? And then just do it on your time. Jason made a great point. He does a lot of posts too in Rich's group. I'm at the point now where that focus is shifting more towards the industrious, more towards the business side, because I've always been in the corporate world and had just enough of a nice high salary and comfortable, complacent lifestyle to where I didn't really have to strive for more until that rug was pulled out from underneath me. So I'm looking up to guys like Jason and Rich in that aspect, and then tweaking my game to fit that frame, and I'm finding that's working nicely.
I'm going to open up for callers later, so I'm going to drop the link right now on YouTube, and I'll pin it up at the top. If you guys click it and come in, make sure you have a question, you got a good internet connection, and in the private chat, let me know what your question is so I can sort through the people that come in. So the link's dropped. If you guys are watching somewhere else, like on Facebook or Twitter, come on over to YouTube. The link's there.
One thing I want to touch on really quickly just before, I think there's another super in there, but like anybody's ever worked a sales job, there's 3 types of prospects. There's people that are never going to buy, there's people that are on the fence, and there's people that are interested and going to buy. Yeah. So they're not equal thirds. If your product is good and you're good at what you're good at what you're doing, the people that want to buy from you will get larger as you get better and as your product improves. So as your SMV increases, the pool of people that will be interested in you grows larger. As it's the lower it is, like you're going to have less people that are having genuine desire for you and that are interested. So it's not like 33% of girls are interested, 33% are not, and 33 are fence sitters. You want to focus on that top 33%. Well, that 33% can grow to 50, can grow to 60, can grow to 80, depending on your level of SMV. So it's not always just about, well, I only have a 1 in 3 chance. Like you can widen that pool and increase your chances the better you are doing. So it's always better to level yourself up because your pool just will get larger.
Yeah. And let me just talk about that for a minute, because I had a consult earlier today with a guy that's a high net worth individual, very successful entrepreneur, and he's looking for a wife. And fine, like, you want to get married, you want to have kids, cool, but he wants to minimize the risk exposure, right? And like the very first thing that I needed to work on with this guy, he needed to lose weight, like straight up. Very successful, would be a very valuable target for women, especially, like a woman with a personality disorder that could invite some serious chaos into his life. And it was like, dude, if you want to expand your options, like if you want to have a better experience and expand your options, you're just going to get there by increasing your SMV. And I said to him, I go, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best version, 1 being the worst, where do you put yourself? High 6, low 7-ish sort of thing. So imagine how much less dirt you're going to have to dig through to find gold if you're a 10 out of 10, if you're the best version of yourself. And that's a great point, Moff, because if you're not there, then you're going to spend way too much time chasing women. Way too much.
Well, there's no guarantees in any relationship you get into, but there is insurance. Okay. And the best insurance you got is your SMV and her genuine desire towards you. If she has genuine desire towards you, that is the best insurance you have. So when you run into difficulties, which are inevitable, she'll be wanting to be with you and to make that work. Very simple. And if she doesn't have that desire for you, if it's not maintained and it turns into a transaction or an exchange, your insurance is over with. It's only a matter of time before the demise of that thing happens. Whether it's you being in it and it's over and you find yourself a slave to somebody else's imperatives, or whether it's her moving on to something else,
Well, I want to bring something up, and Paul, you and I have talked about this in session before.
Before you go with that, Jay, can I just ask you to hold that thought just real quick? Absolutely. I got guys waiting in the green room to come on, and I've got one person that's left a comment on what they want to talk about. Turn on your cameras and tell me what it is in the private chat that you want to talk about, what your question is, and then I'm going to sort through them and I'll bring you in if it's appropriate. So go ahead, Jay.
So one of the things Paul and I worked on shortly after my divorce was guys like us are a huge target. Yeah.
And
the only way to distinguish between, who could be kind of potential long-term material and who is not is that difference between validational and transactional sex. And something I've heard Ryan Stone talk about a million times is he said the vast majority of men will never get validational sex.
They don't even understand it.
They don't even
know what it feels like.
No idea. And so when you start to experience that, you're like, oh, okay, this is what it really looks like. It is. Yeah, that's what it has nothing to do with money. It's got nothing to do with status, that they just want to be with you. And there's and to give you guys a corollary and to kind of answer that guy's question that you had in session, Rich, you will run into a lot of women that want to have kids. And something Rolo has said is like, there's a lot of women that want to have kids, but do they want to have your kids?
Correct.
Because that's a very different relationship than I just want to be a mommy. No, I want to have your kids is a very different relationship.
It's very different because she's not going to try to hyphenate the kid's name. She's not going to protest and insist that she names the firstborn son. She's okay with taking on his name. She's okay with him naming, the son, right? Like there's a lot of things that kind of intermingle with all that when you're going through the vetting process. And you might think that you found gold, but then, when you start to get into parenting and how that relationship's going to look if you live together and raise kids together, and it's potentially problematic, guys that are spoiled for choice, that are chasing excellence, not women, will let her go to invite a better candidate into his life than to make those concessions and then invite a nightmare, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see what we got here. We're gonna. Okay, guys. Yeah, thanks for leaving the private chats there with the questions. You guys want to talk about anything else before I start pulling in some people with questions?
Don't get me started. I'll go all day.
I know you will.
that was back here being polite, man. I don't know.
What about Derek?
I'm trying to be quiet today.
That's a great point Jason made, and I've experienced that like for the first time in the last year. Was the validation is, it's like driving a 4-cylinder compared to a V8.
Yeah.
It blew my mind. It when someone just absolutely wants to shred you to pieces on site.
Yeah, it's a different game completely.
For me, the first time, I didn't know what it was. It felt like I was completely sober too. I was like, it felt like a drug. Like I was having like a psychedelic experience or like ecstasy for the first time. You're just like, what is this? There was this other force, and that for me, I think now that's the addiction. That's the rush I chase. Whereas before in the beta days, you're chasing the fantasy.
It's the only thing that's acceptable once you've had it, right? It's like, if you drive a fine automobile, you're not going to go back to your 1982 Chevy Chevette that you drove when you were broke as a joke and at 19 years old, right?
I sold my car and bought a pedal bike. Like, I'm not going to buy like a crappy little Nissan or something they drive around here. I'll just go on foot or on a bike.
I got a guy here.
I will tell you this just to
go ahead,
for the first time I had that happen to me, and you guys are going to laugh your ass off at this. It actually scared me. I was like, what is going on? Like, it was so intense, and it was so like, I was like, whoa, what's going on? Like, I can remember like I felt at one point, I felt like my brain got rewired because I'm like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be. This is what it's supposed to be like.
Bingo.
And something Sterling Cooper had said one time is he said, Sterling's an adult film star, right? And he goes, everybody thinks it's really cool, like to do this stuff, to get paid to be with women. And he goes, I'm telling you, like the difference between that and validational sex is massive. Like, he's like, I would much rather, be with somebody who really wants to be with me, aside from, getting paid to be with women. Yeah.
Yeah. I got a guy here that's got a question about marrying his LTR and having kids while maintaining frame. I see. Oh, he's back now. Okay, let's add him back in. All right, Phil. So you got an LTR and you're talking about getting married and having kids and frame. So what's the question for us tonight?
Yeah. So I've been in this LTR for about a year and a half now. I've known her for longer, maybe 2.5 years. We are thinking about actually getting married because we live in South America, okay? It's not a very rich country, and she has a Italian citizenship and passport.
Mm-hmm.
So by getting married, I can access also that passport, and we can move to Europe, maybe Germany, or we haven't decided quite yet which country. So yeah, my question is basically, do you guys think it would be a smart move to get married basically because of this?
So I mean, the first question I got for you is, what South American country?
Uruguay.
Uruguay, okay. And why are you doubting it? Because I mean, like, if you didn't doubt it, then you wouldn't be on here asking us this question. So why are you doubting this marriage?
Well, when starting the relationship, there was a couple of red flags.
Mm-hmm. What were they?
She had previously been also in a long relationship before being with me,
mm-hmm.
and it was sort of like an abusive kind of relationship. And she's got some baggage that she brought on with that coming out of that relationship. But she's working through it, and it's been better lately. At the beginning, it was a little bit tough for me, but it's a lot better now, I must say. She's really hot. She's nice, but she's got sometimes she gets a little bit jumpy sometimes, and I believe it's because of that. But overall, we get along really good.
How old are you, and how old is she?
I'm 31. She's 29.
Does she have any kids already?
No.
And you met her in your country, right?
Yes, we actually met on Tinder about 4 years ago, and then we started talking through other social media, and we finally met maybe 2.5 years ago or 3. And
let me ask this question: do you want to have kids?
Actually, you know what? I did not. I was the kind of guy that would think I never wanted to have kids, and when we started dating, I actually started thinking about the idea that maybe, you know what, maybe I did want to have 1 or 2 kids. I give my mom grandkids that I know she would love that, and actually I do get along pretty well with kids, and I like being around kids. But I didn't.
You dated her for about 1.5 years?
Yeah, we've been dating for about 1.5 years now.
And how long has she been exclusive with you?
A little bit longer than that, maybe I would say about 18 months or so.
Okay, so let me just make sure that is clear so you understand. So you've been dating her for 1.5 years. She's been sexually exclusive to you for 18 months is what you're saying?
Well, a little bit longer than that. Maybe, yeah, I would say before we started dating, like officially dating, she was already exclusive, and I kind of know that because I did a little bit of research. Maya and I don't want to get into details, but I did some research on.
You did some recon, okay, behind the scenes. Got it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So she had another dude. Is that what you're saying?
What's that?
So when you said you first started dating her, she was already exclusive. What do you mean by that? She was already with somebody else?
Yeah, when we started dating, and maybe I'm not saying this right. When we started our officially relationship, like being boyfriend and girlfriend, so to speak,
she had already been sexually exclusive to you before you guys became official.
Basically, what he's saying. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So why don't you guys throw some clarifying questions at him before you offer some feedback?
What happens if it doesn't work out? Do you get deported?
Well, actually, I do have to wait I believe it's 2 years. If we live in the European Union for 2 years, I already get the citizenship once we're married. If we stay in Uruguay, we have to wait 3 years, but the plan is to move immediately. And once I get the citizenship, that's it. I mean, even if we get divorced, I don't lose it.
So you're banking on this working out for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hopefully, I mean, honestly, hopefully I will. I think she's good material for being a mom. I would like to think that she would be the one that would have my kids. And she's got really good also genes. I believe she's going to remain being smoking hot for at least 10 or even more years.
No, dude. You don't have a time machine. You can't look into the future and predict that. I mean, the closest predictor that you're ever going to get is looking at her mom. That's it. And even that's not a guarantee, okay? So just, relax with the whole I think she's going to be hot forever, story that you're telling yourself. I just want you to turn off the afterburners for a sec there.
When you knew her before you started dating, what was that relationship? Was it platonic? Were you a beta arbiter?
Yeah, why did it take so long for you guys to date?
Were you the nice guy that was there for her when she was in an abusive relationship?
Yeah, she's 29. So you know, living in Latin America,
That's kind of what I was wondering about.
She's got baby rabies.
If a woman's 30 in Latin America, she's not getting married by the Latin guys. So what's the deal there? You know this. You're in Uruguay.
Well, look, before we officially started dating, I was actually kind of, I don't want to say alpha, but I was kind of the guy that would be like texting her, and if she was kind of like, oh, I don't know, maybe or so, I would just bounce and do my thing. And I think that's what got her attracted, because she wasn't used to that. She was used to getting a lot of attention. And honestly, I've always had options So I would never kind of chase chicks. And
all right, dude.
So I got
that. Sorry, man. Hold on.
When did you guys this one?
When did you guys meet? And then when did you guys start banging? That's what I want to know. When did you guys meet? And then when did you guys actually start banging?
We probably started banging. I think it was on the second or third date.
Is that good enough for you, Paul?
Yeah, that's good.
No. Yeah, but the critical point here is when they met. When they met. If she,
we're dancing around things, right? When did you meet? When did you meet her? Because I thought there was this period where you had known her, but
yeah, he did mention about 4 years ago was when he first came across her on Tinder.
Yeah.
So what's going on with that?
We came across on Tinder about 4 years ago, and basically, it's kind of
Phil. Let me just get you to the point. So what Paul's asking you is, you've been dating her for the last year and a half, but you met her 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. Why did you wait like 2.5 years to start dating her and be a couple?
Basically, when we matched on Tinder, she was actually not done yet with her ex. She was going.
Whoa, hold on a sec. So she was on Tinder while she was still with her ex.
No, she was going through a rough batch. They kind of.
Hold on a second. You just said that she was on Tinder and she met you while she was still with her ex.
Well, they had kind of split. Then they went back.
Okay, look, dude, this is not going to work if you're not going to be honest with us, man.
The only acceptable answer to Rich's question was because, I was too busy banging chicks, I forgot about her, and then she was just there. Like
right.
That, you might take that as an answer.
So for 2.5 years, she was with the crazy ex, and you were the beta and waiting. Then is what you're saying.
I was actually not waiting, to be honest with you. I would text her once in a while and see if she kind of want to hang out. If she didn't, then I would go do my thing with someone else.
I have a clarifying question. Who's pushing the Europe move? Because I've done the international marriage before. I married a Colombian girl, and everything was great when she lived with me in Latin America. The minute we got in the U.S. and we went and lived in a city where her family was, I was in her frame now. And all of a sudden, I'm an independent woman. You don't tell me how to do that. We were walking down the street. She's like, I don't need to hold your hand. I'm like, what are you talking about? So if you're going to her country, you're going to be with her family, her culture, her language, all that. You're going to be in her frame 100%. Is she pushing that move, or are you pushing it for better opportunity?
Well, look, actually, she's from. She was born and raised here in Uruguay. Most of her family is from Uruguay. She got the citizenship because her grandparents were from Italian. So. Basically, but I am. You got a point there. I am kind of a little bit scared that even though I am gonna be a little in her frame, I might be in her frame if I'm depending on this citizenship by staying married.
That's exactly it.
Yep. So I have a question for you too. Another one. So you didn't really think about having kids as something that you would necessarily want. And then you changed your mind.
Yeah.
So what was the catalyst for that mind change?
Because she's hot and has nice boobies.
It was
right. She must be hot. Yeah, you're gonna.
The catalyst for that mind change, right?
She'll sponsor you.
And so, dude, here's the thing, man. Because people love to
complicate life, justify why.
Yeah, and do what Rich just said. And yeah, they love to kind of delude themselves a bit, right? Is that you like this girl? And she wasn't picking you. And then she picked you later. That's okay, whatever, but that's a red flag. Then she says, I want all these things in life. And you said, geez, that sounds great. I'm going to do all these things because she wants them. Right now, it's not looking like you're in her frame or that she's in your frame. It's looking like it's the other way around.
Yeah.
That's a dangerous
And that's going to get worse when you
leave
Uruguay and go to Europe.
She'll hold that over your head too. If you want out of that relationship, she'll be like, "Oh, you have to wait for 2 years." She will hold you hostage.
Have you read my book, Phil?
No, I do have to read it.
Yeah. If you can't get it through Amazon, you can get it through bookdepository.com. They ship anywhere in the world. I know that Amazon doesn't ship or let you download Kindle in certain places. You need to read it. You don't even have to read the whole book. I mean, at least here, let me get it over here and I'll throw it up on the screen. At least get the damn red flag chapter. Where's my freaking ticker? There we go.
Your red flag chapter is still free, right?
Yeah, it's free. So if you just go to entrepreneursandcars.com/red-flags, you can download it for free. I mean, you're going to get prompted to go on my email list. I don't spam it. It's only good shit that I send out. But at least read that as a very beginner. The other thing that I would say is slow the hell down here, okay? Because you haven't given this enough time to really size it up to see what your place in this relationship looks like and whether or not she's like, you know, a good fit for you, whether or not she's really going to be a compliment. I mean, you've already talked about a couple of red flags, but the way that you're describing where you are right now and where things are going, I think you're holding some stuff back, if I'm being honest. You know, because we like to paint things over and pretty it up and let's throw some rainbows and butterflies and sell it to these guys and see if I can get them to tip their hat. That's always the case, right? Guys never give us the whole, you know, 9 yards. We're only getting like the tip of the iceberg. So slow it down, take some time to like vet her a little longer, apply some chaos to the relationship, you know, see how she responds to chaos. Does she throw hissy fits if she doesn't get her way? Does she
you guys
violate?
traveled together?
Yeah,
have you guys already been to Italy together?
Yeah, like have you traveled to Italy? Like have you been to Germany? Have you seen what it's like?
I've traveled to Europe. She hasn't.
Together?
No, but like together is what he's
asking.
An
Airbnb for a month and then just go.
Let me ask. I think probably the most important question here. We're focused on the gal. Charles just posted something hilarious in the chat, by the way, and he brings up a good point where it's like, hey, look, is Italy where you really want to go? Because I've been to Italy a zillion times. It's not actually the bastion of economic development. Like it's just not. It's great to visit, but it's like
Europe for the most part is not right now either.
It's not.
Yeah,
right? So,
I know. I don't want to go to Italy.
Come to Mexico City. Being from South America, like you'll have your pick of women.
Like, why would you want to go to Germany, Italy? Like, I can't remember what other country you mentioned, but why?
Basically, because of the income. Income here in Uruguay is really low.
You've got a job, right? Like, you've got a job.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not an entrepreneur.
No, unfortunately not yet.
Okay, so let's back up 1 second here, Phil. You're going to spend an inordinate amount of time, like 2 to 3 years, to get the citizenship, go through all that nonsense. I would sit down and say, where is the best place where I can make the most money and have the best cost of living? That may be here in the United States.
Houston's actually a good town for that. I went to Houston for that reason.
Right?
I went to Houston for that reason. Did it 3 years out.
Yeah, it's great. So I'd rather see you sit down and say, okay, how do I have the best life possible? And I'm just gonna assume it's probably not Italy. Now all of a sudden this whole relationship thing, this relationship conversation changes immediately. So that's what I'd sit down. If I'd encourage you to do anything, it's like, all right, what do I really want to accomplish in my life? Maybe it's to get here to the United States. Maybe that's where to come to Texas, right? I'm here in Texas. So if that's the case, then now you're having a conversation with her. Hey, babe, I'm going to Texas. I want to make more money. I want to be more successful. It's a land of opportunity. This is where I'm going. And you're actually flipping the script on her, and then you see what her reaction is, right? Things start to change. Because if you're going to spend 2 or 3 years trying to figure this Italy thing out, let's spend 2 or 3 years going somewhere that's got better opportunities.
You should be taking the lead. You should have a clear vision of where you're going. And
I wish you would, but I don't think that's going to happen here.
So
that's where you want to be eventually. Yeah. That's
what's your like your income in Uruguay? How much do you make on an annual basis there? Or sorry, like a better way for me to phrase a question might be like, in what percentile is your income in Uruguay? Like, are you in the top 80%? Top, like, where do you sit?
No, not even near.
So why are you going to be good enough for with another JOB in another country somewhere else on a long-term basis? I mean, like, you're not the best version of yourself right now. And the title of the show is Chase Excellence, Not Women. But what are you doing to put yourself first, mental point of origin, and like level yourself up?
Well, what I believe Europe would give me would be a better chance at getting a lot, like an income, like a decent income, and
you can't go next door to Chile. Don't they have a pretty nice, robust, growing economy? Or I know we're all going to suffer worldwide. Don't worry about it.
So that's not what's happening here.
Phil, have you like sat down and compared notes on like what the different requirements are to move into other countries? This is one of 2 questions I have for you. Like, you know, naturalization requirements, income levels. Like, there are certain countries that you want to immigrate to, they're not going to take you unless you have a certain amount of net worth, like Bermuda. The second question is is more of a scenario. And, this might be something you need to think about rather than answer now. But, okay, let's say you're in Italy, you're in Germany, pick your country. It's a year and a half into that 2-year period, and you have a kid with your LTR, and you realize that you two fucking hate each other's guts. What are you going to do? Are you going to – it's all sunshine and rainbows. Yeah, like I thought living in Italy would be cool too, but if I had a infant and a woman that I'm married to who I can't stand, all the charms of Italy are going to burn away pretty quickly.
Yeah,
and
your kid's literally on the other side of the world if you go home.
Yeah, like what I'm saying here, dude, is like you barely like this thing is brand spanking new, and it's not like you were her first choice 4 years ago. She was just testing waters back then and happened to pick you 2.5 years later.
Right? A year and a half is nothing, dude. How long you should be vetting women that you're going to be with, dating.
She's at her epiphany phase, right? Like she's starting to have the baby rabies. She wants to have kids. You look like a good choice. What do you do for a living? Like, what's your profession?
I work for Amazon. I basically do tech support for Amazon.
Okay. So like you'd be doing something similar in Europe, then you'd be doing tech support for another like large company?
Yes, but I would be charging triple or 4 times the
right. But I mean, the cost of living is also 4 times higher in Europe too, right?
It's gonna be higher, yes, but not as much as the difference between wages. I would be able to at least save some money.
Okay.
Get into sales, man. Get into sales. You're on the phone all day anyway. Get into sales.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Find a tech company and offer to do sales for them. They always need sales guys, and you speak English well. I was just in El Salvador for 6 months building the sales team. Like you'd be perfect for a role like that. Those guys make as much money as I do.
All right. So to be fair to the other guys waiting to hop on, and I've got a bunch of super chats here waiting. So you've been given some good advice, Phil. I would suggest slowing it the hell down, taking some time to vet. At least at a bare minimum, read the red flag chapter that's there below. You can get that for free. If you can get the book, then get it too. But get your head around what it is that you're dealing with, because I think you're basically marching into a slaughterhouse the way that you're describing it. And I think everybody, I mean, here, guys, like, is he marching into a slaughterhouse? Thumbs up.
Phil, I've been there, and I wish I could go back.
Trying to save you, brother.
And listen to my gut instinct. Listen to your intuition. You already know the answer.
Slow down, man. All right.
Thank you, guys.
All right. See ya.
He ain't gonna do any of that shit.
No, he's not.
No.
Dude, like, we can try.
He proves it's wrong, dude, but
we can try.
None of it, bro.
We can try as the best that we can do, but yeah.
I'm watching Paul like gesticulate over there, and I'm like, oh, he's about to get wound up.
Yeah.
I did that.
He's sitting there in the green room laughing right now. He's like, yeah, you guys can make fun of me. I know. Okay, so
I hope he says no, you're wrong, and I'll be like, awesome. I want to be wrong here. I want. To be wrong.
Hey, listen. I hope he comes back in 2 years, with a better story or something. But whatever. Let me get these super chats. So Mike Tyson's gotten into travel nursing apparently. Currently working 16-hour shifts 6 days a week, trying to build my knowledge, wealth, physique, health, and life overall. I find myself spread too thin for me, and I end up failing consistently when it comes to my goals. Any tips or advice? You guys got it? Like, the guy's burning the candle at freaking both ends, like 16-hour days, 6 days a week, and he's trying to tend to other areas of his look. There's certain businesses and there's certain professions where you have to put the time in. Like, I know law associates, like junior lawyers, they basically work like 16 to 18 hours a day for about several years straight, like 24 months, 36 months straight, before they can settle down and stuff like that. If you're in one of those professions where you have to put in the time before things start to peel back, then you got to look at it and say to yourself, okay, I'm willing to do this, right? Like, I'm willing to do the work because that's my goal, that's my objective. I want to achieve this level or this accomplishment so I can now work on these machines or that thing or this thing. But I'll let you guys chime in too.
So I've been in that position before, and the best you can do, if you're really working that much where it's 16 hours a day and you don't have enough time to even get a good night's sleep after you commute, then you just have to do damage control and then figure out an exit strategy. There's no other way. If you really are working 16 hours a day, then, doing 2 or 3 different things after work isn't going to be possible.
Mm-hmm. I think we're setting up a goal setting workshop in January right now. And what I think the most important thing with setting goals is obviously setting the goals. And then the second most important thing is learning this really tough word, no. A lot of people miss this, where they set a goal and they're like, I want to do this, I want to do this. Got to do that. Like I'm doing this whole fitness thing right now. I've lost a ton of weight, still trying to, want to lose more, look better. So what do I have to do? I can't go out every single night. Hey man, want to meet you out here at the club? No, can't do it. Right? Hey, want to go out to lunch and do this? No, I've got these meals I got prepped. Right? So a lot of guys miss I've got to say no. And you can really only focus on a couple of goals at a time, especially if you're working that much, probably one, maybe two. Mm-hmm. But you got to learn to say no.
The only other way that you can accomplish extra things simultaneously is if you can like double task. So if you've got to commute every day, then grab a podcast or grab some audiobooks and listen, while you're commuting so you can level up some other skills there. You probably can't do it while you're working, I would imagine, if you're in the medical field, but you don't have a lot, like there's only 24 hours in a day and you need about minimum 6 of them, ideally 7 or 8 of sleep if you're going to function properly. And that leaves you with the waking hours and you're spending them all working. So you just have to prioritize things, right? We've got Charles here. Charles! Good evening, gents. Charles. Would have loved to join. Dude, you got to get on these, man. I hope you can get on one of the future ones. And stay low profile to avoid... Oh, so he's staying low profile, that's why. By the way, I find it slightly hilarious. The title said, not women, and then most of the time you're still talking about the women!
The women! We've been going back and
low
forth
profile and putting his first and last name up on the screen. Good call, Charles.
I know, right?
Yeah. very incognito, dude.
Yeah, Asian James Bond over here.
Yeah, and he's dressed like Chad, motorcycle Chad.
Yeah.
Katana, motorcycle.
Well, the title, Charles, is actually to not waste time on women, but to maximize the little time you're going to spend on them.
Go.
Yeah.
And we're communicating about the framework, yeah.
Mango Speed says, last time I was in a relationship, I found myself at my lowest, and I ended up delivering food on a bicycle to make ends meet. I found RP content and ended up in monk mode and focused solely on leveling up. Good. Keep going. Yeah. Level that shit up. Now I'm doing much better, debt free. I have a 6-figure salary. I feel like staying in this extended monk mode indefinitely. Every time I think about that, that's where I was when I was dating. Thoughts. Mango Speed, if you want to click that join link and hop on live, I'd like to chop it up with you. But any quick advice on this one, guys?
Guys, I was thinking about. Go ahead, Paul.
I was just going to say that you're just avoiding facing a reproductive problem here is really what it is. You've associated pain with the process of getting better with women. And so now that you have that bad association, the payoff isn't there to try to learn how to do better. It's not that, when people say they go into monk mode, usually it's because they're not good with women. And so they're going to find a reason to not work on those skill sets. And again, it's not about chasing women necessarily. It's just about, getting better at those skills so you can have what you want. And there's very few dudes who you wouldn't even be asking that question if you were cool with never having women in your life, right? And so you're asking the question, which means you would like women in your life, but you're associating pain with facing the facts that your skills aren't there right now, man. And you need to work on that stuff.
Monk mode's only a badge of honor if you're doing something with it, like you're leveling up. But saying that you're in monk mode is absolutely meaningless if you're not leveling yourself up. If you're just using it as like a cope.
Yeah,
I hear guys all the time talk about, I'm gonna wait till I'm an X figure earner or I have X amount of money in the bank and I can go to. I look at this stuff as like a casino. Like you can go into a casino with a chip stack as high as the ceiling, but if you don't know basic strategy and how to play the game, you're gonna get taken to the cleaners. Like you can go in there and know some basic strategy and have a bankroll of $500 and come out of there 100 times up, or you can go in there with 5 million and blow it all. So like this whole idea that you have to focus on one of these tracks, either money and success or women, is a misnomer and it's nonsensical. Like what he is saying is like, I was so down in the dumps that I was a complete loser and was a complete zero. Fine. Yeah. Probably not going to be having much success going after women if you have no SMV. But, there's no reason that you can't work on both of those skills simultaneously. And guys that are saying, like my money is like, I jerk off to my money pile. Like, sorry, that's not how the way this goes, man. You want to solve your reproductive problem. It is a cope. It 100% is.
Yeah. I was going to say that too in terms of monk mode, because I was kind of flirting with the idea, but not because I have any problem in that department. It's more because, as the topic of the show, I'm like, okay, I've got a lot of really aggressive deadlines coming up. And just even if a girl comes over, I'm like, hey, I only have an hour. That's a good tip, by the way. I was going to mention earlier, guys. If you put a solid out, like, hey, I have 1 hour hard out, I have 2 hours hard out. A lot of times they'll accelerate that date for you if they're interested enough, and if not, then within an hour if you're into the girl or not. But going back to monk mode, wasn't necessarily a cope. It's more like, okay, well, there's too much time and energy going into this, and that energy could be better applied elsewhere. And I think that's kind of the same thing in your case, maybe, but not like my thing. It's more like, okay, all this time and energy is going into chasing women, and I'm not getting them. And that's where years ago when I came to Red Pill, I was like, oh, I'll do monk mode too. It's just because I was already in like a dry spell. Like I was already in monk mode, whether I wanted to or not. To not be. And then,
reprioritization is not monk mode to me.
Yeah,
like just like I'd rather focus like in hunker down on some business stuff is not the same as like I'm going to spend 6 months in a hole like working 80-hour work weeks.
But that word gets thrown around a lot.
I'm not going to answer that one because we already covered that for Mike Tyson. So what else we got here? There's a few more that rolled in. J Money. My early 20s went monk mode for over 5 years, leveling up with looks, money, and my career. Found the RP through a friend. The transformation is real, gent. Great book. Thank you. The man's done the work. 5 years is a long time, though. Like, I wouldn't say stay away from women for 5 years, especially in your 20s.
Well, there's a trap, though, I've seen so many times, and I saw this a lot when I was in the real estate business and other things, which are guys who are 6- and 7-figure earners who are terrible with women because they basically went monk mode. They didn't call it that. But, yeah, they just focused on their work, and they were really not really good at their skills with women. They didn't have that understanding. They certainly weren't red pill. And then they marry the first girl with a nice rack.
Jeff Bezos.
Well, they come out like a debutante. They come out, okay, now I'm in looking for wife mode. I'm in looking for marriage material mode instead of being available all along and learning
half their
skills.
Wealth, like that.
I watched you and Rich's Will Smith video earlier today. That's right on. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of guys in the waiting area for questions. We've got 15 minutes left. You guys see the private chat? Who do you guys want to take in?
I want to bring Peter in.
Peter. There he is. All right, Peter, what do you got for us, buddy?
Hi, Rich.
How you doing?
Good. I just wanted to say first off, I read your book a few months ago, and it really helped me out. I started reading Rollo and watching all those podcasts, and I'm pretty early in my journey and being red pilled, but I just wanted to say thank you.
Okay.
I think my question's been somewhat addressed, but I'll still ask it. So I have no sexual experience, but I'm really anxious to end that drought. But do you think is sexual experience really worth pursuing if I have not reached my excellence potential, so to speak?
You're 26, right?
Yes.
And
you got to deal with that anxiety.
We'll talk about that in a bit. But I mean, like, why haven't you been, dealing with women at all?
Well, the usual culprits. I had a single mother. I also grew up in a very religious family. I grew up Catholic. Not that I'm criticizing people who are religious, but it wasn't a healthy state of mind for me. It set me back. Lots of guilt.
Yeah.
Where
do you live, by the way? In what state?
I live in Florida.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm an engineer. I work in the space industry.
Okay, so you make some good money, right?
It's okay.
It's okay.
My potential is, I work for the government, so my potential to earn is attenuated.
Okay. All right. And you're in good shape. I mean, I don't see a lot of fat on your face. So I'm assuming that you're not, shaped like a pear, right?
No, I'm in decent shape. My body fat, I got it measured recently, and it's around 15%, which it could be better. But
okay, so this is a game issue. Like, this is a calibration issue, right? Right.
Do you think it's worth pursuing that, or should I just
yes
dude like
it adds a
watch Eddie Murphy. Okay, I can't remember if it's Delirious or Raw, but your 20s are your years to F. Okay. Those are going to be your best years.
But not only that, man, it's a skill set that you have to develop once again, and if you're avoiding developing that skill set, it doesn't get easier. It gets harder to vet out what girls want you for genuine desire and what girls are going to want you for your other SMV qualities, particularly your wallet. Okay. So if you wait until you're really doing well financially and like killing whether you're a government contractor making, multiple 6 figures, all this stuff, have all nice toys, nice house, now I'm ready for a wife, right? We talked about this just right before you got on. That's not a good recipe, dude, because they're going to go for you, sure, for your wallet, and it's not going to be good. It's not going to turn out well for you. And we've seen it happen.
You really have to calibrate to like today's women to understand what they're all about, because they are absolutely nothing like what you think the church or your mom told you they're supposed to be like.
Yeah, I've had a lot of I've had a few bad experiences. I will say one point of anxiety is I'm 5'6" and I'm really short, and I used to really blame that on my failure of women instead of owning up to the things.
No, it's got nothing. Yeah, Paul's short. Paul's
5'3". I'm like 5'1". Paul's 4'8".
Yeah, he's not even like 6 foot tall, right? He does just fine with women.
Peter, I'm an engineer and I'm Catholic.
Small dong too. Dong is like
height is not as important as you think. Like if you're 5'6", you can easily date a 5'2" chick, just as long as she's looking up to you.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Peter, what are you doing right now as far as dating apps and stuff like that? Are you like on Tinder, Bumble, Hinge? What are you doing as far like you swiping, or what are you doing?
I went on one Hinge date and it was so awful. I deleted everything.
He's just thinking about it right now. I don't think he's doing that.
Why was it awful?
No, I've never done it beyond that.
Okay.
Do you have a crew? Do you have a tribe? Do you have a bunch of guys?
I've moved every couple of years for my career, so my life is pretty fragmented, but I have a couple good friends every place I've lived. But
what do you do for fun when you're not working?
I work a lot, but I'm mostly exercise. Lately, it's been mostly reading books. And
are you interacting with women when you're exercising? Like you part of a gym or a?
Yeah, I joined a CrossFit gym.
Okay, there's lots of chicks in CrossFit.
Several months ago, not in Florida.
Not in Florida. So go to a gym where there's more women. Like
he's in the government. He's probably up in the Panhandle, right?
You know where there's a lot of women, and it's a good workout. They call them 9 rounds here. I don't know what they call them in the States, but they're basically 30-minute boxing sessions, and they're always calibrated by a trainer. It's a honeypot. It's like 80% women, right? I mean, like you kind of have to go to where the fish are. I mean, if you're fishing and you want to catch a fish, you kind of have to go to where the fish are. But if you're surrounded by sausages and all you're doing is hanging out by yourself, and you don't get that exposure, you're not going to be able to calibrate to women and have conversations. Because I mean, like the first thing that you got to deal with is have a comfortable drink or a coffee or whatever it is that you're going to do with a chick, and walk away at the end of it where she's like, "Hey, Pete, I dig your vibe. Can you call me again so I can see you soon?" Right. That's like the first step. Forget about getting laid and losing the V card and all that. Like the first step is calibrating to conversations with women. Go ahead, Paul.
Right. Yeah. And I want you to shift your mental focus here. Be uncomfortable with this, and that's okay. All right. Because you need to be uncomfortable in order to get comfortable. You know what I mean? And to start developing those skill sets, and consider it something that is a priority to work on. You know what I mean? And it's instead of avoiding it. And that's because, again, you're going to run into a problem as you do increase in your wealth and what you're doing. You're probably a very smart guy. You probably are on the road to doing very well. You're going to run into that problem where you're not going to be able to decipher who's actually wants you for you and who's wanting to run you through the machine. And you need to figure that out now. It's a process of figuring it out as you grow. But the analogy I wanted to use real quick, though, was imagine if I said, dude, don't go to the gym or think about your diet for the next 7 years because you got to work on your money situation. That would be really bad, right? Like that'd be potentially bad, And so you're not, but is the gym the focus of your whole life? No, right? It's just something you do because you're working on it. It's a priority to take care of your body, right? And take care of your mental fitness. All that stuff should be a priority. And this should be a priority too. It's not the main one. You're not chasing women. You're just working on your skills, man. And just shift that over a little bit. You got a lot of good content out there. You got my channel, Rich's channel here, and you can start working on those skills and finding which road you want to go to. It's not a race. It's a marathon. It's not about just getting laid. It's about getting better. You know what I mean?
I would start by putting yourselves in rooms where you can have comfortable conversations with women and not feel anxious about it. So that might be workout stuff. That might be like, I don't know, like some other hobby that you like, but put yourself in an environment where there's women that you're attracted to, where you can just have a casual conversation where anxiety doesn't kick in, you don't start to stutter or anything like that. It's just comfortable. And then it'll get to the point where it's like, hey, you know what? Just had a ton of fun today. Why don't we take this conversation over to that bar over there and have a drink? Right? And you just kind of sit down outside of that, kind of work, hobby sort of zone and make it more into like a date zone. And then you do another venue change, which can be like, hey, my place is 2 blocks that way. Why don't you come over? I got some wine in the fridge. And that's when you start to escalate. But, you got to get to like step one, but you just have to do it, right? You just have to get out there and start doing it. Like, just get comfortable with it.
I think about this too, man. Like, you're inviting.
We were all dorks at one point too. Like all of us here, we all we're in that same anxious zone that you were.
Still am.
Paul's still there, but I mean, for some of us, it was until we were like 18, 19, 20. For you, it just happens to be 26. You just kind of have to push through it. You just have to lean into it.
And is the life that you're creating for yourself one that a chick is going to want to join you into? Are you going to bring her in a situation where she's going to have fun and she's going to associate good feelings, fun feelings with you? Like Jared and I have this thing where it's like, we'll tell girls like, you'll never be bored. If anything, if nothing else, you'll always have fun and you'll never be bored. So, I mean, I know you like to work a lot. It sounds like you're stacking cash and being an engineer, and can tell you're probably not, it's not a super interactive with people and very front facing all the time kind of job, but that other kind of stuff, like what you're doing for fun, your social settings, things like that. I mean, you're living in Florida for God's sakes, the weather's great. So it's, what life are you creating that someone is going to look at you and be like, all right, I want to see what this guy's about, and I want to join into that because that looks fun.
But Peter, I'm just saying
the chapter in, sorry to interrupt you. The chapter in Rich's book that stood out to me the most was the chapter about the motorcycle.
Mm-hmm. Why is that? Do you have a bike or did you buy one?
I really want to buy one.
Yeah,
get one.
Yeah.
Get one. Yeah.
You only live once, man. Get one for sure.
Charles is selling one.
Peter, I'm a Catholic engineer as well, okay? And just going back to what Paul said, he can't emphasize that enough. You're 26, you're a sharp-looking guy, you have a steady job, a good career. If you don't get on top of this now, it's going to rain baby rabies on you in about 4 years. And these chicks' eggs are going to start, their clock is going to start ticking, and they're going, well, he's a good guy, Peter. He's clean, he's cut, he's nice. They'll marry you up, and it's going to be a train wreck.
They'll marry you up and take your kids and half your shit and see you later about 7 years down the road. So
Peter, that's what I was going to say. You're a good-looking guy. You're sharp. You're well-spoken. You're clearly educated. You told me what you work in. I work in that industry too, so I have an idea of what kind of money you're making. There's no reason you should have any sort of problems with women. So it's on your head, man. It's the anxiety that you really have to deal with. I see that all the time, and really just get your reps in, build your confidence, talk to all
get
women,
your reps in, exactly. You know how easy it is to deal with anxiety?
Funny, flirty way.
You know how easy it is to deal with anxiety in women when you got a motorcycle? It's so easy, dude. It's like all chicks love bikes. Like, just get a spare helmet and just like chat them up and be like, hey, I got a bike and let's go for a ride. Let's go down to the beach. It's like, I know this place, and you just, go for a zip.
You need to make them feel good emotions. So even if you're in the line at a coffee shop and there's something that happens, make a little witty comment, a little whatever, and then just get in the habit. Train your brain of when there's a female present, she feels good around me. And then that'll naturally start escalating. And even if you're kind of nervous, your first initial encounters, a lot of these chicks, like, a lot of them try to lead the way anyways. For me, half the problem with American chicks is like, hey, I got it. Like, hold on.
All right, Pete, you good with
that?
That?
Getting in the community, man. Like Chris Amy's in the chat. I don't know if you see this. If he's serious, take him up on his offer. He's saying he'll pay for you to join the community. So you don't get that. You don't get that very many places, man.
There's a URL. It will be pinned in the top comment. If you want to come into the community, it's open. Be prepared to do work. Don't show up and expect the entire roadmap to be handed to you. You have to engage. Okay.
We just lost a guy today for the same exact reason that you probably need to get in there because we go really deep into this stuff.
100%.
All right, Pete. Just get started, right? Like, how do you eat an elephant? Just one bite at a time. You just get started, right?
Okay.
All right, man.
Thanks, Rich.
Thanks,
guys.
brother.
See you, Pete.
Just get started, guys. Just get started. Dimitri says, as an Eastern European in the UK, I don't get girls at all, but my career is going well at home. I can find a new girl every day. I don't know if I should return. I don't know, man. Like, I've lived in the UK. There's not a lot of attractive girls over there, unless you live in London, and then you get the more cosmopolitan city, and most of the hot girls that are in London are not from England to begin with. You know, I don't know. Like, do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I'm not sure if that's a question or a statement.
It's more of a question because he's saying, I don't know if I should return. He's thinking about going back to Eastern Europe. Brian, what do you think?
Go where you
I think you want my honest opinion. A lot of people in Ireland and the UK kind of look down their nose at Eastern European people.
Yeah.
So he's kind of starting from a lower position to begin with.
They're hotter.
You know,
I don't understand.
Well, no. I mean, you know, people come into the UK and Ireland, and they have that thick, heavy Eastern European accent, and a lot of them are doing kind of the South American thing coming into the US. You know what I mean? They're doing those jobs, so they're kind of looked at from that point of view. If he's making serious bank, you know, and he's dressing in his Hugo Boss suit, and he's 6'1",
I'll tell you this. Yeah, like you get those
good.
like Russian, like, you know, millionaires that show up in London with their Rolls Royces with diamond encrusted, you know, flying chickens on the front hood. They don't have any problems with the women, right? Like, it's just a matter of status for them. So, you know, 50 Shades makes a good point there. We're at the 90-minute mark, guys. It was a fun show. I think we should probably start to wrap this one up. Let me just real quick before we bounce out of the show, solo layout, and shout out to sponsorship, because that's what pays the bills around here. I'm going to talk about the unpluggedalpha.com, which is where you can find my supplement line over my shoulder. It's organized by category. So if you're looking to metabolize estrogen, boost testosterone, build muscle, burn fat, there's also a category going to be added in the next week or so for immune function and support. It's over my shoulder over here. You can click the link and go through the different categories, place your order. The best way to do it is subscribe and save. You just subscribe to regular deliveries. If you want to do a one-time just to sort of try it out, you can use coupon code ALPHA10 to get 10% off, and you'll see how everything works with that. The other thing is the Tactical Soap Company, which again is over my shoulder. Just go to coopersoap.com. Long-standing supporter of the channel for several years now. It's pheromone-infused handmade soap, and it will not disrupt your endocrine system. Check them out. Stuff smells amazing, and it's all natural. Yes, it costs more than your 48 multi-pack from the Costco's of the world, but it is a much higher quality product, and it's not going to mess up the testosterone levels in the body. So let me go back here, exit solo layout, bring the boys back in. Is there anywhere you want to send people to go check out? Paul, I'll let you go first because I know that you just launched a course, so why don't you talk about that for a quick sec?
Yeah, so I have a course called Alpha Mindset. It's 52 modules and 18 plus hours of content with a companion manual. And it's basically all the stuff that you need to work on up here to get your mind tailored to becoming more alpha, more outcome independent, and having better control over your lives. We're giving a lot of good advice here. The whole panel is really giving a lot of good advice, and Rich gives a lot of good advice every day on his channel and his community, but people find themselves handicapped when it comes to executing that because their inner game and the stuff that's going on in their head isn't quite right yet. And so this course has modules and actionable stuff to be able to actually train and work out your mental fitness, your mind, your emotions, and start to change some of your reactions to the world, change your emotional state when things happen a certain way. We just had somebody dealing with some anxiety and stuff and social anxiety when it comes to the sexual marketplace, for example. Well, this has a number of exercises to handle that. And so it takes a lot of the magical thinking and woo-woo thinking out of some of these practices like meditation or hypnosis or some of these different things. And it can get you in a routine to really work on your stuff. And so, yeah, definitely go do that. I'll drop a link in the chat here. And that's it. That's the main thing I got going on. And of course, get on my channel too.
Cool. All right. Moff?
Follow me at stereo.com/Moff. It's just an app on your phone. I do some stuff. Sometimes I do some stuff with Jaren or just kind of shoot the breeze and go do my solo stuff whenever, wherever. But that's, if you want to talk with me privately, you can sort of schedule a show or a chat with me anytime.
Yeah.
Happy to chop it up on this kind of stuff. I'll just make a quick pitch for the community like always, man. I mean, look, these are the kind of guys that you'll be surrounded by on a daily basis. These are the kind of guys that you'll be getting advice from, and then you'll be able to bounce ideas off of. it's not a course where we're just going to spoon feed you information and there's just a framework or an outline of do X, Y, and Z and you're going to become a billionaire. It doesn't work like that. I can tell you that it's legit a tribe and a place where guys go to make themselves better. Some guys can hack it and some guys can't. But we're doing meetups in real life. We are doing more than just talking about getting the girls. We're talking about chasing, making bank, a lot of high-level guys. And if you're a younger dude and you're not sure if it's for you, if you're on the fence at all, get in, man. And the thing is, too, for all the guys out there that are thinking maybe it's not for them or they're not sure, I can tell you that the quickest way to build connections and build relationships with guys is to find ways to add value. And whatever that may be, whether that's in business, whether that's in women in relationships, whether that's offering up your awesome ranch house for us to come and tear it apart for a weekend. It just find something where guys can learn from you and you can offer to do things for other guys even. I don't know if JB is still in here, but I bet JB's the kind of guy, as successful as he is, that probably wishes he had more time to donate time and money to causes that he cares about, like charity or volunteer work. I know guys that will say, hey, I'm 20 years old, don't have a dollar to my name, but I'm going to go spend Saturday cleaning up trash on the side or working for Habitat for Humanity or whatever charity or whatever volunteer organization is your favorite. If I can get an hour with you or an hour consult or a coffee to chat about and introduce myself. Find ways to add value to other men and it'll return itself tenfold. Don't stop going in thinking about what people can give to you and always be going into interaction with value that you can add and that you can give to other men and other people without expecting anything in return.
Yeah. Jaron, you want to give a little outro pitch?
Yep. To piggyback on Moff's point, yeah, same thing. For the guys in the group, it really is about building a tribe because I came to the group initially. I was already happy with my dating life. I'd already gotten this red pill stuff figured out. I was settled in my career, and then things started changing with the whole global pandemic thing coming out. So I was like, okay, well, I don't really have a tribe. Like I have my family and I have all that stuff, but I'm so much of an outlier compared to most people with whom I spend my day-to-day physical waking life. I need to meet guys like me. So I eventually joined Rich's group and immediately, or actually to be honest, for the first year, I didn't do much. And then I started, as Moff said, adding value. And then Rich starts inviting us on a show and guys start inviting me to retreats. And then now I'm starting to riff with Moff and getting back into my stuff to wrap it up. We've got a podcast coming out here over the next couple of weeks with some guys in one of Rich's in Rich's 1% community. And then you can always go to my website, menshrine.com, or follow me on Instagram at jaronscott.com if you want just more direct access to me. But there's all sorts of stuff going on in this group. And I'm really excited for at least this next year for a lot of the stuff we're doing. All of us came into the group looking for answers, just like everyone watching. And then the handful of us that decide to go in and get the most out of it, here we are. And this is just a starting point for us.
Yeah. And if you want to see what a good Instagram dating profile looks like, look at Jaron's because he's really got it down pat. Jay, did you want to say anything on the outro?
No, thanks for watching. I don't have anything to say. So I had to step out for a minute. We had
no worries, man.
A major investor problem. So,
no problem, man. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always having a lot of fun, and I appreciate the time, guys.
Derek, did you want to stay incognito and just sort of sign off?
Yeah, the one comment I'll have is that, guys, join the community because there is no such thing as a comforting lie in our community. If you come to us or if you come into the group and you have a problem, people will tell you the straight truth to try to help you. And it's been nothing but great for me. And I think everyone else on the panel would echo with that. That's all I got, Rich.
Thanks, bro. All right. So there it is again. Just going to real quick so I can go over here and do that. It'll be pinned in the top comment. If you're interested, we'll be back next week. I'll be back next week solo. Actually, no, I think next week I've got a booked guest. It's the cyber warfare guy that popped in the other week. But yeah, there's going to be another month of me running the show. And then what I usually do is at the start of every month, like the first Monday of every month, I'll just say, hey guys from the 1%, who wants to come in and chop it up tonight? And you get what you saw tonight. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know your thoughts in a comment. We'll see you guys in the